Howdy, 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 howdy. How's it going, everybody? This Hump Day, episode 2 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You can get it on iTunes and Stitcher, wherever you listen to your fine audio destinations. This show is a non-politically correct wrestling talk show, but this show is for wrestling fans that still want to be fans and just have a good environment and talk about the business we all love. Anyways, I'm Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter at WCJoshLopez. Here on this May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars Day, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that maybe during the show today. But, it's been a great week to start off this birthday week. For those that don't know, I'm turning 22 this Saturday. And it's been a fun week so far. We got to talk about Payback, some good stuff on the horizon for the summer, some things that could pop up as far as storylines and all that good stuff. And then we also have, of course, Ring of Honor is going to be in Chicago this Sunday for Global Wars. They got Ring of Honor versus New Japan pay-per-view this Sunday, which I'm covering. I'll talk about that towards the end of the show, or you guys can check out my article for that pay-per-view. But besides that, this show's about having fun. Obviously, you guys have been supporting the show on YouTube and the videos we've been doing in the last couple of weeks, and I appreciate that. To spread the word around the show has been a big thanks, of course, to Adam Daley. We'll introduce him in a couple of minutes. He's been a big help to me getting the show off the hinges and having some fun here. We also have another guest with us today that I'm going to introduce right now. For those that did tune into the Pro Wrestling Experience on ChicagolandsFirstRate.com, a few months ago I got to not interview, but had a fun chat with a friend, mutual friend through Adam. His name is Ronnie Starks. He's a professional wrestler, in and out. Just when he depends when he wants to do it, or he says, fuck it, I'm out. He's a man who loves Walking Dead, loves the comic books, and he is also from Pennsylvania. Mr. Starks, how's it going, my friend?
Good. How about you, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to have you on. You were telling me earlier that you've been wanting to come on, and I was like, hey, fuck it, come on. Anybody's welcome on this show.
If anybody's wondering, I'm currently in fuck it, I'm out mode in wrestling right now. So
One of those times. Of course, we got our weekly correspondent. It's always the good brother, Adam Daley. How's it going, my man?
Josh, what's going on? Ronnie, thanks for outdoing me because I still haven't figured out how to do a lower third unless we broadcast it ourselves. So, way to outshine me on your first show, Ronnie. Thanks.
You're welcome, buddy.
Oh, man. Make sure to follow Adam at Twitter at AdamDaily13 at Wrestling With. That's Adam and Sam's wrestling show that you guys can check out. I was on the show last week. Very important life lessons and heartfelt conversation last week to open your guys up to the underbelly that is the world we live in today. And anyways, we're gonna have some fun today. So if you have any questions, send it to Twitter to either me, Ronnie, or Adam. We'll try to answer it to the best of our abilities. But like I say on every show, I'm not smarter than any wrestling fan or any wrestler in the world. I have my opinions. I studied the business in my own way. But at the same time, I'm fair. I'm kind of like Switzerland of the wrestling media. I don't have one side or another. I don't strive for one company or another, unless it's TNA, because I have to be bored on my mouth covering that show every Tuesday nights. But besides that, I'm a neutral wrestling fan, and you don't have a lot of those these days. But we're here to have some fun. Ronnie's a guy who's been in the business, so it's going to be good to get his perspective on some of the things. And it's going to be good back and forth. So, boys, before we get into Payback and anything, what's going through your mind, and what things are you enjoying outside of WWE that you guys have been able to pay attention to?
Ronnie, go ahead, brother.
I'm not really watching any other wrestling other than WWE right now, so really don't know what else is going on in the world.
Yeah. I'll say for me, Lucha Underground is always a blast to cover each Wednesday. It's probably my most anticipated show I like to cover the most besides SmackDown. So Lucha tonight, Killing it, man. It's awesome. I love Lucha. If you guys want that alternative, you just want a fun, like, gritty, edgy show that has high flying and you don't have to worry about, oh, this guy's no sells, or you have Vince Russo calling Kevin Owens fat, even though he's a great wrestler and he gets probably the biggest crowd receptions these days. I mean, it's a show for everybody, so you don't have to worry about that wrestling bubble nonsense or agenda that goes to Lucha Underground. It's its own entity. They're not worried about competing with anybody. They're Lucha Underground, you like them or not. Also, Ring of Honor is coming up on Sunday. Cole Caban's back in ROH, going against Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World title in the main event. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But besides that, yeah, I agree with Ronnie. Obviously, WWE's dominated the scene like they've always been in the last 3 years. And you know what? Whether it's from NXT or WWE, you're at least getting one half of something that you do like. So, you know what? Wrestling's good. And me and Adam talked about that a lot last week. Wrestling's in a good place. You just need to pick and choose what you want to enjoy. If you don't like something, don't watch it. It's that simple. Yeah, and before we get into Payback, I do want to say this really quick. I've noticed over the past couple of days that a lot of the wrestling websites are putting misleading articles in titles, and as a guy who prides himself on being a journalist and actually doing this shit the right way, unless I see WWE.com say that RYBACK's release, don't put on the title, RYBACK speaks on his WWE release. You freaking nimrods, okay? Jackasses, get your research straight. Okay, he has a contract dispute, but he's not released. Okay, maybe silver lining. Okay, maybe he's gonna go. Okay, if he goes, hey, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. But at least have some freaking right and do the articles the right way, man. It's bullshit, man. I hate that shit.
That's the way they sell it, though, Josh.
Yeah.
That's why I really wanted to first go into writing first, but then I realized that in a way, you have to be clickbait now, and that's selling out your soul. I don't know. I can't. No disrespect to anybody. I know we all got to do it, and it's fun, and it was a dream at one time. But journalism's just it's not what it was, and that's all across the board, guys. I'm not picking on like wrestling dirt sheets. I'm talking. Look at any news outlet. Look at anything that you pick up. It's all just. It's tough. It's tough to separate what is real and what isn't anymore.
Yeah, it's really bad, like especially for news departments where they copy and paste each other, but they'll write some little things in between to make themselves look good. Hey, by the way, the weather segments, it's all a work. It's all a work. You got that green screen, and you just put in some numbers there, and then there you go. It's work. Look you got eye candy women as your reporters. They're reading off a teleprompter, and they're just going off fake information. It's a work, bro.
Well, Josh, think about this, too. How many people get their news from Facebook and Twitter first? You know, I mean, I get my news from Twitter before I get it from anywhere else. And when you really think about it, that's frightening when, like, you know, there's people that they're in their 60s, 70s, you know, and up that are using these things, and they don't know what the hell goes on with, like, social media sites. Yeah. So anything they see, they're going to believe. You know, they don't understand that you can crop, you can do all this. Like, they have no understanding of technology and the dangers of it, and that's sad.
Yeah. By the way, I found this very interesting report the other day. So I guess the Citrus Bowl is no longer the Citrus Bowl. What the hell is the name of that new stadium? I don't even know what that is. Something World Stadium, Camp WWE Stadium. I don't know.
Yeah. Is Vince McMahon going to track it down like a sexy dog?
By the way, I finally got to see Camp WWE last night before I went to bed. That's just too much. It's hilarious. And you know, the funniest part about it is that they make John Cena as corny as he is on screen.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. The whole concept. I love Ric Flair on the show because he's just fucking everything in sight. He's fucking a tire. He's fucking a rock. He's fucking a tree.
A bear.
He's fucking a bear. And he's just like, woo, baby, woo. Like, he's the nature boy. He took that bear to Space Mountain and back, man. Let me tell you. Hyperspace Mountain, since it's the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you all.
Adam, have you seen Camp WWE yet?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be honest. The first watch through, I was thinking, what am I watching? Like, I had no idea if they're trying to be like a Brickleberry or just a turned up Family Guy, or I was confused and kind of just, I don't know. For me, I was laughing because I thought, okay, this is just a way for Vince to finally be able to say finally get his all the cuss words that he wants to say on TV.
Yeah.
This is his way of just letting him just fire off as much as he wants to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it yet or not. Maybe it'll take a couple episodes. I was just kind of like, wow. I do like that they have Triple H over emphasizing. I thought I did like that. That was nice.
Yeah.
You know, another funny part about it is I saw the behind the scenes video they had before the first episode came out, where like they showed Vince in the studio like reading the lines. So as I see Vince on the show, I have that image in my head of him saying, "This asshole," like in the production studio time. You know, it's funny. Seth Green said that Vince spent a lot of time like doing all the voices during that whole season, I guess. So that's cool that they got to snag a guy like that has so many hats on his plate to do that. That's pretty cool. Besides that, another show on the network you guys have to see is the Edge and Christian show. I say it all the time. It's one of the coolest shows in wrestling today. It's so fun. The way they end the show, where they're like, "Oh, will Kurt Angle be in the WWE Hall of Fame?" They're like, "Yeah, in the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame." and then they go to we'll CM Punk debut in the UFC, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll talk about it when he actually has the fight." I love the Edge and Christian show. Adam, how about you?
It's good. Yeah, no, I like it. It's good. I missed a couple episodes I got to get caught up on, but I liked it. Like, I always like to keep the illusion that WWE just has no idea what they're even like, what they talk about on there.
Yeah,
because they're just so wild on there, and it really does show the charisma. The writing stuff on there, I'm sure, is fantastic. Edge and Christian are funny anyway, you know. So when you have two naturally, you know, creative guys mixed with a great staff of great writers and stuff, you're going to come out with comedy gold. Especially when you're not afraid to push the boundaries, break down walls and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's. I made a joke on Twitter that it's the sole reason I'm keeping my subscription going, and I'm not necessarily lying about that. I mean, that's the one show every week that I do really look forward to.
Ronnie, how about you, bud? Have you seen the Edge and Christian show?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's great. I was laughing really hard when they're like, "Well, CM Punk finally debuted in the UFC," and I'm like, "Shots fired, bro. Shots fired."
Watching this show has made me miss Howard Finkel that more. Just the way he announces things, it really emphasizes those characters in a big way. I remember one time Howard Finkel did ring announcing for an NXT show when Rollins won the NXT title against Jinder Mahal. And he even made Jinder Mahal look like a big deal in the way he introduced him. So Howard Finkel's the man.
Mm-hmm.
And also, by the way, Funaki introduces Edge and Christian before every show, which I think is gold. Number one, then that's
Oh, Funaki.
funny story from Payback. You know how they had it set up for WrestleMania where they had the other international announcers at the side of the arena? They had the same gimmick at Payback, so I seen Funaki like 5 rows ahead of me. Let's go into Payback. Let's get some business. Yes, it was at the Rosemont Horizon this past Sunday. By the way, this crowd never fails to disappoint me. I know, Adam, you ripped me last time for the Chicago show because Vince shut them down with the CM Punk chants, but it didn't happen this time. They just kept going.
Not. You guys did well this time. Yes.
Let's start off with that before we go into like matches, because I want to say, just from my perspective, being there in person, I love the show because every match, it wasn't like the crowd was trying to take away from the show. They wanted to be there. They booed when they had to boo. They cheered when they had to cheer. Yeah, Roman Reigns got booed out of the building, but I felt like the Chicago crowd, and just being there in person, they helped every match seem interesting. You may disagree with finishes or whatever, but that's all subjective. But overall, I enjoyed Payback. Chicago's had three paybacks. in its history. It was the fourth one this past Sunday, and it's probably the best one I went to besides the first one when Punk took on Jericho, and it's like I had a blast. I really did. I got to be there and enjoyed it as a fan. I literally took my analytical head and like took it out when I went to the show. Like I only put that shit on when I replay the show or I take notes for this show or whatever. But when you go to these shows, it really shows you how much of a fan you can be still. And I had a blast at Payback. I don't know how it was for you guys watching it on the network. Ronnie, did you get to see the show or no? Because I'm not sure.
Well, I watched it. Yeah, I think we dubbed it NXT Takeover Payback.
Yes.
Because it was just a straight up NXT show. Like it was beautiful. Whoever decided to put that card together was a fucking genius.
Yes.
Because they're like, hey, we're gonna put all these guys everybody likes on one show, and we're gonna give these people what they want post WrestleMania. And I loved it. It was my favorite pay-per-view of the year so far. So,
Adam, how about you, brother? Just overall.
Yeah, I liked it. Like I said, the only thing that my only gripe, and again, I mean, it's trivial because it gave us something to talk about, was the Chicago screwjob finish, but
yeah.
I thought we had a couple. When I say a couple, I mean there was 3 matches that I think stood out. A lot of people are giving the Ambrose Jericho match a little bit of flack, saying it wasn't as good. They didn't think it was as good, but I thought it was an excellent match. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that because I'm such a Jericho mark. I don't know. But I think that Roman Reigns and AJ Styles put on guys, and that's why I keep hating on Roman Reigns. But this is match of the year written all over it. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. It's good. It would take and first, glad that Enzo is okay. Glad to see that Enzo was just a concussion. I'm so glad that Enzo is going to be able to compete again very soon. So that being said, it looks scary, and I think that it was going to take 2 special individuals to bring the crowd back into the pay-per-view. Because I know for me, I was lost for a second, because you worry about any talent you see them get hurt. So, and so Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, you got to give them guys credit too. I mean, that's again is those 2 are going to be putting on matches, 5-star classics after 5-star classics for a long time. I mean, for as long as they're in WWE together, we're going to be seeing it from them too. So, I thought there are certain segments, hit or miss, whatever, but overall, I thought it was a good show, guys. And again, did we think that Mr. TNA, and I say that as a joke, AJ Styles is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world today, and we know that, or else he would not have been IWGP champion, guys. That isn't like a minor league title. The IWGP championship is an enormous title, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I say that jokingly because, in Vince's eyes, here you see Mr. TNA. I mean, that's probably what he sees in AJ Styles. So, did we really think his first championship match? I mean, so I guess the outcrying of, oh, Roman Reigns wanna get, really, we didn't think that. But other than, I mean, get it. But again, if that's all you're holding on to is saying that it wasn't a good show, come on, man. This was I thought it was a really good pay-per-view.
I really felt like the show, I knew it was going to get in the right tone. It just felt like something was changing with that video package they aired before the pay-per-view went on air. New Day came out and the crowd was going nuts for New Day. I thought they cut a good promo. When they showed that video package and then they transitioned to Enzo and Big Cass coming out with that crowd reception, I knew, okay, tonight's gonna be a fun night. The crowd is there. They want to enjoy this. It's unfortunate, man. I know you said, Adam, that seeing Enzo's injury took the wind out of your sails really quick, and it was really shocking to me as well. It's one of those things with wrestling where you need to appreciate the fact that how dangerous this business is, especially from a performing standpoint in the ring. And it's unpredictable. You don't know what can happen. Anything can happen, and accidents do happen. I'm not going to blame Simon Gotch for it. I'm not going to blame anybody. It's just a freak accident. I've never been in the ring, so I'm not going to say, oh, this guy is at fault for getting Enzo injured. It's a freak accident. I'm glad it was only a concussion. It's not a great thing. I mean, concussion is not a great thing to deal with, but I know people were concerned about him having a neck injury or whatever. So I'm glad Enzo fighted by and it was okay. But you know what? At the end of the day, they got. I think they got some good business out of the way, because I know Enzo and Big Cass were talking on the Stone Cold podcast about how excited they were to perform in front of the Chicago crowd. So you know what? Yeah, the match got cut short, but I think they had some good business at the end. Ronnie, what was your thoughts on the whole Enzo thing?
It was scary looking. I thought he broke his neck. Just by the way he hit it and jerked back, I thought it was lights out for. And it was scary because I'm a big Enzo fan. You know, I love those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks to see it go down like that. I'm sure once he gets better, because I'm pretty sure the Vaudevillain's going to win the tag titles in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they'll get their match, and then they'll get the tag titles or something like that. So
yeah,
it's really tough to see somebody get hurt like that. And I'm not going to say thank God it was only a concussion, but thank God that he'll get better and he'll be fine. So, but I was laughing at the New Day because I really wanted them to watch the WWE Network while they were sitting on the floor watching the match. And they showed them on their cell phones watching the WWE Network. I really wanted that. But I was laughing at them eating pizza and just doing Snapchat and just being jackasses. It's great. I love the New Day.
Some Chicago Giordano's pizza. Good job.
I'm sure it's delicious.
Yes. We go to, like you said, Owens and Zayn, and you know what? I'm sure people will not point this out, but when you have a guy like Jimmy Jacobs who's actually there as part of the creative team now, when you have that type of rivalry there, he is the perfect foil of what that rivalry is, so he knows what to bring that real emotion out in it, and it really set the tone too. And it's kind of weird how Enzo's injury came out, because it's like time structure. Usually a match, the first match of the show will go 15 minutes, it'll end at 7:20 because you got the entrances and all that jazz, and then it was literally 7:20 when they aired that Owens and Zayn video package. So I was like, okay, here we go, the show's going on, and then the match is awesome. I'll admit, this is the first time I've seen Owens and Zayn in Chicago. I don't know if they ever had a match in Chicago in Ring of Honor, but to see that in person, that was a blast. And they showed that they're the real deal. I don't care what Jim Cornette says. I don't care what Vince Russo says. Those guys can perform. Take a scary situation like Enzo, where it takes the whole crowd out of it, like a rabid crowd like Chicago, and they're quiet, and to bring it out to that point where they're going nuts even after a double clothesline and everybody gets out of their feet, that's not easy to do. So if Kevin Owens and Zayn are not good performers or not good workers or whatever, they wouldn't be able to do that. And they gave them extra time, and I thought Owens had a great night. He was probably the stand-up of the show this past Sunday, and the fact they got to spend around 40 minutes around the IC title division, that's something huge. And I don't think nobody's going to point that out, but that's my opinion on the match. How about you guys?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you about the Intercontinental Championship, because that was always my favorite championship when I was little, and I've always liked when that championship meant a little bit more, and it's starting to get that feeling again. And listen, I love it. I love Miz being Intercontinental Champion right now. The Miz-Maurice combo is so wonderful and so it really is. There's a lot of brilliance going on right now. But when with the rest of the pay-per-view too. It's New Day's spot I thought was so great, but again, I think it was with everyone keep focusing on the finish of the match, and I don't know, maybe I think Vince and Stephanie's spot and Shane's spot, I said this the other day, I think it was kind of a little underwhelming just towards the end, just because I thought it ended somewhat abruptly, and I know why it was done, and it was just supposed to be one of those executive decisions, and it's just, well, you're both going to do it. Yeah. It's just you expect Vince to deliver a line that's going to have everybody, So when it was just done and he kind of flips the mic, it was like, oh, really? That's it? But I think, Josh, you made a couple really good points. I mean, when you have people that have worked with a lot of this talent before, like a Jimmy Jacobs, who has an incredible wrestling mind, and you have him who has worked with these guys all over the world, with Ring of Honor and the other promotions like that, it only helps the business. These are people that know how to bring the best out of these characters, best out of them as wrestlers, the best out of them as performers. And I think they're, like you guys both said, they're onto something really special here with this young talent, because they brought Maurice back for heat purposes. Yep. Let's face it. With Roman Reigns, they're capitalizing on the heat that he's getting. They're doing a lot of really good things, whether people like it or not. There's we can agree or disagree on what they're doing creatively, but at the end of the day, it's working, because there's very few characters that people don't have an opinion on, and the ones that they want us to really be either overly the characters they want us to be overactive about, we are. So I think that they're doing a lot of really good things. And like you said, Josh, I think there's some people in place that know how to work with the talent they have. They know their strengths. And when you know the strength of the talent you have, men and women both, you know what to bring out of said talent.
Hey, Ronnie, what was your thoughts on the match and getting to see Owens join the commentary team right after?
I think my header on Twitter for a while was Kevin Owens wearing the cowboy hat. I was laughing at that. I love Kevin Owens, and I love Sami Zayn. they're just so great, and I'm jealous that you got to see that match live. I'm almost as jealous of that match as I am of my friends seeing Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. So it's kind of one of those things where I just think Sami Zayn is the best worker in WWE right now. Whether WWE wants to give him credit for that, or Vince Russo and Jim Cornette are just living in the past and how they can't get over old school wrestling. That's their problem. I mean, it's time to look forward at this new talent that's going to take over the WWE.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny, Vince Russo says, I want to be out of the bubble, but he sits on every podcast and talk about how Sami Zayn looks like a taxi cab driver and how Owens is fat all the time. So who's still in the bubble, bro? Tell me.
The guy in the bubble is the guy who can't write television, a.k.a. Vince Russo.
Anyways, I wanted to say this really quick because, one of the great things of going to wrestling events, and maybe it's just me because I have that broadcaster in me, I love the fact that I don't have to listen to Michael Cole and JBL and Byron Saxton while I go to these shows. I just sit back and watch the story that's being told in the ring. I'll say this, I give Michael Cole a lot of credit because he has so much on his plate that he has to go and tackle during the match. And that's not an easy thing to do. But JBL and Byron Saxton take away from every single match that they call. Everyone. It's brutal. It's god awful, and I'm glad to see Mauro Ranallo in person to do the pre-show. I heard a lot of people said a lot of good stuff that he did on commentary during the pre-show this past Sunday. I didn't get to see the kickoff show again this past Sunday yet. Maybe I'll watch it after we're done with this. But, it's cool Mauro Ranallo getting to call a match inside the Allstate Arena. I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, speaking of commentary, Owens was on commentary with Michael Cole and the crew as Miz takes on Cesaro. Another a good Intercontinental Championship match. Miz played his part well. When I knew things were starting to go when Cesaro hit the uppercut express, wherever he calls it, when he goes back and forth with the running uppercuts. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Miz holds on to the ropes. I thought he actually had him with the Skull Crusher finale, but Cesaro actually kicked out, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then Sami Zayn comes out of the crowd, like 4 rows away from where I was sitting. He goes into the concert area and starts attacking Owens. All other chaos ensues. Miz retains the title, but Kevin Owens is the man last standing holding the IC title. He laid everybody out with power bombs and all this jazz. Kevin Owens is holding the title, and it looks like we're having a 4-way at Extreme Rules. I don't mind that because that's going to be a good match. But you know what also that does? That gives Owens and Zayn another reason to keep going all the way to SummerSlam. You don't have, Owens versus Zayn at Extreme Rules again. You don't have Owens and Zayn again at Money in the Bank. You don't have Owens and Zayn again at Battleground. So you know what? Okay, it's a multi-personal match, and who knows? Maybe those guys are in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I think it's good booking because if you want a longer feud, they're in the same ring with each other, but it's not one-on-one matches over and over and over again. Maybe that's me, but do you like where they're going with this 4-way match, guys?
Oh, yeah. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn every month, but hey, that's just me being the mark that I am for Owens and Zayn. And they will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is going to win that shit and shut everybody up when he actually gets the WWE title next year. So, which, my God, that's just my prediction. What do I know? But that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, you know. Don't describe.
Oh, I know everything. I actually secretly work for the WWE, guys. So.
Ronnie called his people.
Yeah, they call all of us. We all work for them. Brother, how about you, man? Do you like the route they're going with the 4-way or no?
Yeah, I do. You know what? I think that, and again, being that was always the title that I held near and dear to my heart. Anytime they're focusing, a large portion of the show and putting big name guys in there, and everyone can say what they want to about Miz. He's another one that everybody seems to have a very interesting. He's very polarizing when it comes to whether you like him or not, whether you think he's good or not, whatever. But these are 4 guys that I think could make, given long term, could make a very good Intercontinental Championship or champion. Now, Kevin Owens, I think this is where he elevates to the next level. I completely agree with Ronnie, because I think we see Kevin Owens one of the main guys that we're looking at for Money in the Bank this year. Probably him or Bray Wyatt, to be honest.
By the way, Money in the Bank is going to be lit this year. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be in Vegas, so I'm going to be interested to see that. By the way, the fact that they're calling that Las Vegas hockey team the Las Vegas Aces is god-awful. I mean, we don't need any more aces. We don't need the aces and eights. We don't need Mike Tenay and Taz calling the hockey games. Come on, bro. The Las Vegas Aces, come on.
I don't say anything because the Raiders are about to end up in Las Vegas, so I don't even know what to think about that.
Who was the team that they bought, though?
What was that, Ronnie?
Who'd they buy? Get the Las Vegas Aces.
The Arizona Coyotes.
Poor Coyotes. Let's be honest, I'm probably going to buy a Las Vegas Aces shirt just to piss you off. I'm like, bro, you're welcome.
That's awesome. Anyways, we go into Ambrose and Jericho, and here's something that caught me off guard. And you know what? Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but like, you had Jericho come out in Ambrose, and Jericho turned back to heel in Chicago against AJ Styles in that Raw a couple months ago. But now in this match, you have a 50-50 split where people are like, let's go Ambrose, Y2J. The fans are actually cheering for Jericho in this match. And I think that's a testament of how good his heel run has been the last couple of months. By the way, I don't care what anybody says, the reason why Jericho comes back on and off again and he's able to be in these positions because he actually deserves it. Nobody in wrestling today has found out how to be a bad guy with natural heat, unlike Chris Jericho in today's society. No one, maybe besides Triple H, but Chris Jericho gets it every time he turns into a bad guy. I love Chris Jericho. I was fortunate. My first Raw I ever went to was the night where Chris Jericho made his debut in Chicago. It was my first Raw. And I loved Jericho ever since. He's the man. And you know what? I felt Ambrose kind of, I wouldn't say underperformed, but I thought Jericho had a bigger outing as a performance than Ambrose did in this match. Maybe it's just me, but I thought it was a good match. I had no problem with the match. I just thought Jericho had a better performance than Ambrose. Let's start off with Adam here.
I mean, see, you're backing me in a corner here. I feel like I'm sick in bed for like you're really backing me in a corner here because I can't like either way. I'm gonna either be the Jericho mark or listen. I think that Chris Jericho right now is we complain about certain guys, we don't complain about other guys. Mm-hmm. Listen, Jericho coming and going whenever he pleases is I don't even know. Maybe it just frustrates. I think people just get mad about it because it frustrates people that he's not around full time and he has other things to dip into. Because let's face it, this is how good Chris Jericho is right now, guys. And we'll get to the match in a second. But people were legitimately on Monday pre-shows saying, let's all talk about what Jericho's latest run was. And I was like, and I'm not talking about just our show. I'm talking. This was like everyone was like, oh, Jericho's done. It's crazy. Really? Did we really think this? He's that good, though. He's that good right now that he knows that regardless, people are going to take the bait. And that's why, a lot of times I don't believe anything that's put out there. But
it's a work, bro.
Listen, all the world's a stage, and that's the bottom line. But as far as the match goes, as my dog Raider wants to join in on this one, I think that, I think both guys held up their end of the bargain. I'll admit, a lot of times I think that WWE's style of wrestling holds Dean Ambrose's style back a little bit. Dean Ambrose, and I'm not saying I would want him to be this anymore, but he is used to be at least for a little while, your more hardcore style wrestler.
Yeah.
He's a guy that knows how to be a little more physical. He's not the most technically sound guy that you're going to find. Let's face it. He's not your Bret Hart or you're not your, but listen, Steve Austin wasn't. You're not going to ever call him a technical either, guys. Like this is, I think it's just them. It's with Ambrose. His matches are always, I think, going to determine. Ambrose is a build-up guy. And this is not to take anything against Ambrose, but a lot of his matches are going to depend on who he's wrestling against. And let's face it, when you're wrestling the greatest of all time, it's easy to put on a 5-star match. I completely kid before anybody jumps down my throat and doesn't realize that that's a joke. It's one of those though where I think Ambrose, and that's why I don't think Ambrose is ready to be WWE champion yet. I think Ambrose still needs the right opponent to have a 5-star match.
Ronnie, how about you, bud?
Well, I just want to start off by saying rest in peace, Mitch.
Yes.
Never stood a chance. I liked the match. I thought it could have been a lot better, but I'm still sketchy about Dean Ambrose. I'm not like, oh my God, Dean Ambrose, he's amazing. He's either hit or miss every once in a while, but I've been a Chris Jericho fan forever. So whenever I get heel Jericho, I'm a happy boy. And I'm sure a lot of people are.
Let me ask you guys this, because I always hear people say, "Oh God, everybody, WWE needs to turn Roman Reigns heel. Roman Reigns needs to be heel." But we're talking about this, and we're unsure about where Dean Ambrose's position should be, and whether we think he's the guy or whatever. I feel in a way that Ambrose needs to turn heel more now than Roman Reigns does. Maybe that's me, but do you guys think Ambrose needs to turn here? Because I think he would benefit more in the long run if he turned heel now than Roman Reigns would.
I think if Dean Ambrose didn't pander to the crowd and he was the lunatic fringe when he came in, when he first started out with the Shield, and the way that he carried a promo then, where it was very Joker-esque, and I'm not using that now, guys, as just my go-to favorite supervillain. He literally did Joker better than when Sting was trying to do Joker in TNA, It's just, there's a natural way, his pacing, just a natural way where you don't really know where he's going with the conversation. There's something that connects with fans. And yes, the shameless pandering is absolutely going to happen when, you're supposed to be the good guy, Dean Ambrose, but I think we all like that other Dean Ambrose, and that might be what gets him over a little bit more, and a la Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was very, anti-authority, that kind of deal. So, but it's one of those where he's only doing what's being asked of him at the time, and I don't know. I think they need to make him a little more rugged. I do.
That's interesting. How about you, Ronnie? Do you think he needs to turn or no?
Well, I agree with Adam's statement. He's definitely the new Stone Cold of this generation. I think that makes sense in my head, I guess. Does he need to be heel right away? No, but I'd like to see how really deranged he would get if he was a heel. I think that'd be a good television. But, we already got Bray Wyatt as the deranged heel. Or is he a baby? I don't even freaking know.
No, he's a good guy.
Is he a good guy?
Well, I think he's more Undertaker. You don't know what you're going to get from Bray Wyatt. I can't say, you could choose to like him or not. You just don't know what you're going to get from Bray Wyatt. But I feel like Ambrose turning into that gritty, edgy, badass guy where he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him and you need to get out of his way. I think that'd be the best scenario for Ambrose. But either way, I'm fine that this feud is continuing, but we do want to send our condolences to Mitch the Plant. He wasn't a good plant. He wasn't a bad plant. He was the plant. Period.
Exclamation points.
And you know what, Josh? Last thing at least I want to say about Ambrose is I think turning him a little bit, like you said, a little bit grittier, a little bit more about himself, and it makes more sense with the moveset that he does have and that he's allowed to use. Because his moveset is more of that like a Brian Pillman kind. He's just a lunatic, And I think it just fits that. It would fit that mantra a little bit better too.
Okay, guys, I want to give a shout out to Nick BD, our good buddy from Manchester, England, who's checking out the show. He said that he enjoyed the pay-per-view too last night. I want to thank everybody else who's checking out the podcast so far. I'm here alongside my good buddies Ronnie Starks and Adam Daley. We got the Steel City Saviors here in the on this week's podcast, and I guess I don't have a moniker for myself yet, but I am here in Chirac just trying to survive on this, trying to make sure that I'm here tomorrow. But let's go into the Charlotte thing and Natalya, and I want to go off a point that you said on warm up this week, Adam. I agree with what you said. I don't think the finish was necessary, and I think going to the well too much is getting really bad and old. Here's the thing, like I was listening to Bret Hart's show this week, yesterday, and he was saying that either he was going to do that finish or do stand in Flair's way outside the ring when Flair was going to try to interfere in the match, and then Charlotte would retain. So I don't know, man. It's like they put themselves in a corner here where, you know, you're bringing Bret back, you want to see a nice sentimental moment and all that stuff, but you still have Charlotte who's kicking ass, who's coming into her own as a performer. I don't know. I enjoyed the match, guys. I did. I don't think the finish was necessary. I am glad that they are going the submission route and banning Rick from ringside for Extreme Rules. I am happy with that because we'll actually just have a definitive winner this time. But I don't know. I just didn't think it was necessary. I did get a laugh though out of Lil Nate. I will admit that I did get a good laugh out of that, but I thought it was unnecessary, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it does seem like they're going somewhere with it, though, and maybe that's the reason why. Maybe this is the setup for something, which I hope not, because again, if we just had this Divas Revolution that was supposed to transform into a Women's Revolution, and we're injecting more men into storylines that have no. Why can't this be about the women? I mean, that's all we do is praise these women and how great they are, and how and we keep making it about the men. That's where I'm at. It's enough's enough. Come on.
Yes. Ronnie, have you seen enough screw jobs for Little Nate?
Well, how many times can we recycle the same storyline and a Hart member be involved in a said storyline? I saw the finish. I'm like, really, guys? You could have done something great, but you gave it a goddamn screw job. I'm like, all right. And the fact that Brett continues to show up and deals with this shit is, you know, props to him for dealing with Mr. Wrestling with Shadows. But, dear God, that's enough. I did laugh at Little Nate, though. That never gets old. I mean, if they want to keep bringing up WCW stuff, by all means, go ahead, WWE. But,
I found it funny on Raw how they actually got the actual Slammery vignette where he actually had the match.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch it on the network for $9.99 if you want to. So.
$9.99, got you, Michael. You know, it's interesting as we're talking about Payback and all this stuff. Like, when you know, like, okay, the finish was bad. We could have done without it, but at the end of the day, I do think we're heading in the right direction. It's not going to be where NXT Women's Division is overnight. It's going to take time, and it's going to be some bumps on the road or whatever. But I think they are taking the right steps. Hell, I don't remember Lillian Garcia ever saying, "Oh, this is a match in the Women's Division." They said that this past week, and they said it on Raw too as well. So there's tiny steps. I think we are going to head into the right direction, but I agree. I just thought that wasn't the right time to do something like that. But you know what? It is what it is. I guess it's just a cop-out for them to do something at Extreme Rules. That's what I take away from it.
Do you think we're going to keep going with this Little Nate storyline where he's going to be Charlotte's personal referee, a la NWO Nick Patrick?
Unless Shane McMahon comes out and tells Little Nate that he can't referee this match.
And then Stephanie says that he can referee that match. There has to be, then there's 2 referees for the match, and then we have a double draw because somehow there's a double.
Scott Armstrong comes out. The crooked referee Scott Armstrong comes out.
That's why they need they're doing these women this service, and you guys know this. I do not nitpick the product. I don't. And you guys know that I'm probably more over positive about WWE programming than I should be, and or most people are, but. This is one that it's frustrating because these women work so hard, and again, the more that you interject men into the storylines, you're taking away from everything that these women have been training, convening. And I don't want to make it seem like it's not a big deal, but it is. To the viewer, at least for somebody that does fight for women to have equal rights in this country and equal pay and then whatever. So throw all your feminism crap at me too, guys. Yes, I'm one of those. I have a daughter. I want her to be able to have the same rights and responsibilities as men in this world, including equal pay and different things that everybody wants to stand there to think about. But here we go. It's a women's division, revitalized, where Ronda Rousey even wants to come back and maybe do another WWE spot or whatever. Yeah. But you keep putting men in there. Why? Make it about the women. The divas, when they were divas, there was never any men around. And don't divas always keep their boy toys around? As Ava Marie just kind of parades her talentless boyfriend into every situation. Now that dude's just basically just shoved down our throats for having zero talent whatsoever. It's driving me insane. This part of it is driving me more insane than it should.
Yeah, I think this is I think you'll agree with me with this, Adam. I think this is a Kevin Dunn call, to be honest with you. This is something Kevin Dunn would do. I'm not afraid to say his name. Oh, let's call him KD. Let's act like the guy doesn't exist. Okay, you can't tell me you're an executive producer and not be part of the creative team. That's bullshit. That's pure and utter bullshit. I know television in the back of my head. I know how this shit's done. This dude is on the creative team, whether people want to admit it or not.
People are naive. Rose-colored glasses, though, sometimes are better.
Yes. Let's go into the Shane and Stephanie segment. I got to give the Chicago crowd a lot of credit for this one. I'm just saying as a regular wrestling fan because with a segment that went that long with Stephanie, Vince, and Shane made the crowd be burnt out, but they just kept going on and on with the CM Punk chants, and I love it when Vince snaps. I love it when he gets pissed off. That's one of my favorite things as a wrestling fan. He's like, "Shut up!" He's like, "You people in Chicago are animals." I thought that was pure gold. So that made it fun for me. Stephanie got boring chants. Not surprised by that. But here's the thing. So Vince announces that Stephanie and Shane are going to be running Raw. Now remember, WWE presents a show for kids now. And in this era where we're all God sent on booking and we only watch wrestling shows now for booking and creative or whatever, in a reality era, I can't buy anybody else being the authority guy on television unless it is a McMahon. Yes, I get it. The McMahons are overdone, but it's reality era. We know the McMahons run the show in the backstage area. So, okay, I get it. People are done with the McMahons, but I can't see anybody else who can run the show. I really can't. It's one of those things where, okay, we could bring out Daniel Bryan, but everybody's going to know, oh, Daniel Bryan's not booking Tyler Breeze. Daniel Bryan's not booking this or whatever. I hate it because I like to be surprised and not look into these shows and assume everything that's going to happen. I want to see it play out. But in this era, you can't anymore. It's in your face in Twitter. You can't watch a show without somebody saying, oh, this guy's being booked terribly, even though they never booked anything in their life. It's the society we live in now, and it's a double-edged sword, but did the segment go long? Sure. But you know what? The crowd made it interesting for me, and you know what? Maybe Vince's delivery wasn't that great at the end. He was like, oh, okay, here you go. It's kind of like that thing where you and your sister gets in a big argument and your parents are frustrated or whatever, and then your dad tries to sizzle the tension or whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, figure it out. That's what I took away from it. You know what I mean? We got to remember it's a kid's show. The show's catered to kids. So, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody else could run Raw. But when we live in this era, the reality era of, oh, we need to watch for booking, the McMahons have to be a part of it one way or another. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel. Ronnie, let's start with you. Bud, what was your thoughts on the segment, and do you think they made the right choice here?
I think it ran too long. I think, like you were saying, it's like, okay, you guys can do whatever you want. And it's basically like, okay, we ran 20 minutes. I think we're done here. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's go to the main event. That's basically what it was. But I like it. I think it'll be entertaining to see who does this and who does that and how everything gets thrown together. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like Shane and I think Stephanie's sexy, so that's That's a
I agree on that one. Bro, she gets hotter with every show she's on, man. I don't get it, man. She gets sexier with age.
Yeah.
She has natural talent. Adam, how about you, bro? You were saying that you thought the drama at the end wasn't that high, but did you enjoy the segment overall?
Yeah, I thought the segment was great. Listen, it's just like the people like in which I don't agree with these people, but again, perspective guys. And The Walking Dead, I loved it. They cut to black. Some people don't. Listen, so it was just everything leading up to was great. So I think that it does leave a lot of intrigue. And look, guys, if you look at how Monday night, I know a lot of people don't think that Stephanie either or whatever. There's this weird. There's this weird hatred towards or misdirected hostility towards Stephanie McMahon and Triple H because of whatever the pool backstage politics, this, that. Listen, guys, Stephanie McMahon is one of the best talents that WWE has, period. And if you don't think so, look at how much depth there is to her whenever the characters that she's playing. The character she is right now is completely different than the Stephanie McMahon that we've seen over the past couple years. And guys, again, she's playing a character. This is acting. We all know this. So, we take that for granted. We do. We take it for granted. Yeah. We think like, oh well, it's not a big deal. She's just been like, she just basically went from super mega businesswoman power. She was the queen to right now she's kind of playing fair with everybody, and she's surprising people, and she's a little more timid, but still has a guys, we need to appreciate things like this. We really do. It's the little things in these shows that we don't appreciate, and I think that's just Steph is gold. I just think she's absolute gold. I think that it's gonna make for a lot of interesting Raws and decisions coming up and going forward too. I think that Stephanie and Shane kind of back and forth is going to be interesting to see, along with how other people are reacting backstage when it comes to backstage interactions with other talents, like how Kevin Owens, keeps interjecting himself into certain situations and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I like where it's going overall. Like I said, just because I didn't like the way they kind of, tied it up at the very end, I still like the package, Yeah. So it was just, like I said, just the end kind of underwhelmed me. But overall, I like it. I think it's going to open up some possibilities. But let me ask you guys a question. I agree, though I totally agree that I think we can only we can only have a McMahon as an on-air personality as far as running a show, but I think we could maybe go back to like the old GM ways if we wanted to. But again, it would be tough with kayfabe being broken. But Josh, you mentioned a name earlier, and let me throw this out. And I'm not saying, I just want to get opinions on this. What if it was somebody like Jimmy Jacobs? What if it was a WWE writer that was also an on-screen character, an established name? People would know who Jimmy Jacobs is. Would that work? Would that be believable enough?
I guess. I mean, maybe it'd be something where Triple H would introduce him or Shane. It's not a bad idea because Jimmy Jacobs could hold his own on the mic. It's not going to be a bad thing. I just don't know if they would be able to do something like that.
It's tough, right? It's not. We're not in a time before where we could have a general manager. Like, we keep comparing this to when it was like Bischoff and Austin.
Yeah.
I don't know if it wouldn't be believable to bring anybody from the past back and run it as general manager style, especially when old talent is saying, listen, WWE is different today. I don't know if I would be there in today's environment.
You can't bring back people power.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't bring back people power. Yeah, well, you can't bring back HBK to run a show that when he blatantly admits that, I don't even know if I'd be in WWE. Like, if times were like they are now, just because of the way that talent is I don't want to say treated, but it's a different business now. Yeah. And they're, which we're going to talk about later on, with RYBACK and stuff. So, I don't know. I think you just one of those, little fantasy booking stuff that I always like to toss out there.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to bring a couple stories here because with wrestling, going to these wrestling shows, there's always stories that come out, at least from my end, because I see some really odd and funny stuff that people never know about. So, for those who don't know, I was the back row behind the Payback panel. Maybe some of you guys saw me, some of you guys didn't, but I was right by the kickoff panel team. That's where I was sitting by. And before the show went on air, so it's kind of weird. Like, you figure, like, sometimes when you have like a wrestler coming down the arena or something, you have security people with them. No, Corey Graves, Renee Young, Jerry Lawler, Booker T, they're walking nonchalantly to the set and all that, while fans are actually coming to their seats at the same time. No security guards. Oh, hey, move back. Nothing like that. And then this one fan came up to Booker T, right? He's like, hey, man, can I get a selfie? I was like, Booker's like, yeah, I'll do it right after the pre-show's over. He's like, come on, man, I need a selfie. And then Booker got the fan booted out of the arena. And then another fan tried to propose to Renee Young before the show. It's some of the stories that I love, and I'm sure we could have a whole show just on wrestling event stories that we went to, especially Ronnie with you being a part of the business.
I can tell some stories.
I think it's funny. So how many people do you think proposed to Renee Young that night, though? That's the real question.
I'll say the max 5. I don't blame her, man. She looks freaking hot in person, man. That's not fake. That's the real deal. So, anyways, I wanted to say this because maybe you guys saw my video on WrestleZone. I did a little report from inside the arena after the show's over. I was trying to find a place inside the arena where I could actually do it. And one of the things people don't know, when you walk around the Allstate Arena, there's actually signs in the backstage area in WWE. So when you walk around the arena, you actually see catering this side, production room that side. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. So I go in the back room over there where the wrestlers come in and stuff. They have all these crates and all this stuff. I had my media badge, so I wouldn't get any shit. That's basically why I wore it. I wore my WrestleMania badge from last year, so I wouldn't get any shit from anybody. So I was talking to a security guy. Luckily, one of my uncles works at the Allstate Arena. Shout out to my Uncle Bobby Keedy from my mom's side, and he helped me out, and I got to record the video like that, standing on the wall right next to the room where all the towns go to their parking lots, actually. That's where I was standing at. So I got to shoot it like that. He let me do my thing, and there was no problem. I was all nervous, like, man, where am I going to record this shit? Am I going to record it where Punk left the building at Money in the Bank? Or where am I going to do this? Am I going to do it by the Jack Daniels lounge that they got inside the arena? I don't know. So I thought I was going to have a problem, but it actually worked out for the best. So I'm glad to share that with you guys. Finally, let's add the touches here. Reigns and Styles. I thought it was a great match. I really did. Even Stone Cold said that was one of the best matches he's seen in a long time. Reigns can perform. Reigns is not my favorite WWE superstar. Kevin Owens and Bray Wyatt is my guys. I enjoy what he does in the ring. Sure, his character and his promos are hit and miss here and there, but I'm not going to get to that thing because it's so played out. I told this to Adam. Literally, Ronnie, every show that you listen to will spend 90% of their show talking about how Roman Reigns is booked. Literally, 90% of the show, they'll talk about how Roman Reigns is booked. It's the same shit over and over and over again. We don't need to get into that. But Reigns proved to you in a hostile environment in a city that, he would be rattled like Philadelphia or Brooklyn or whatever. He held his own, and AJ Styles proved that he really is the guy that he is. I wasn't sure after that TNA run. I seen a couple of stuff he did with New Japan. It was cool. The stuff he did Ring of Honor was cool as well. But AJ really got into his own as a WWE main event guy in this match. I loved it. Yes, Reigns, LOL, Roman Reigns won. He made it look strong. Yeah. That's the finish here. But I love the match. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a great way to end the pay-per-view that I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of. Ronnie, how about you? What was your thoughts on the match?
You know what? I'm not going to give Roman Reigns shit anymore. I'm really not. I think him and AJ, dude, Adam's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm not going to give Roman Reigns shit anymore. I thought he really held his own for probably the first time ever, maybe. Unless AJ really made him look that good during the match.
Maybe.
But it was a tremendous match. It was a good main event. The finish, I was sitting there with my friend and Adam's friends, Amanda and Tony. We were watching it at Tony's house, and we're automatically like, all right, there's going to be a count out, disqualification, and then something's going to happen. Like, we should have called it and it happened, and we're like, ah, shit, there it is. Because I think they had to waste some more time due to, I think Josh disappeared on us.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I think they had to waste time because of the whole Enzo thing. So, it was a great match, man. I loved it.
You know what, Ronnie? I think they had this set up anyway. Now, maybe just because they wanted to show that back and forth between Shane and Stephanie and kind of tease, I think, what Raw's gonna be going forward, and maybe other pay-per-views are gonna be. So, I don't know if the Enzo injury necessarily extended this. I think it might have extended the conversation that they had. You know, I think there was a little bit more filler there, and a couple matches got extra time. But I honestly think this was absolutely what they wanted it for the match. But go ahead, go back to you, Ronnie.
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was the best. I'm not gonna say the best main event of the year so far, but I think they had really good chemistry, and I can't wait for Extreme Rules because I think they're gonna have a good Extreme Rules match.
The forearm, after Sal's hit the forearm from through the table, there was a guy from the front row behind the announcer's table, ran from that row all the way to the back of the arena in excitement after that spot. He was on the aisle seat. He got out of his seat and ran, jumping up in the air. He's like, holy shit, holy shit. That's pretty cool, though. Something like that. Like, a fan's that excited that he run all the way to the back of the arena, and then security people escorted him back to his seat. He didn't get booted out, so at least that was a good thing. That didn't affect him.
You gotta love when wrestling fans get into it as much as that still. You know what I mean? Because usually wrestling fans are like, all right, well, I'm here. This is cool. And now they're like, oh shit, this is crazy. Like, there's still some diehard wrestling fans that take it seriously, and God bless them.
Yeah, it's better than having your fan there like, oh, let me look at Instagram. Let me make sure my Game of Thrones is recorded on DVR. Let me text it back and forth with my fake boyfriend that's going to cheat on me in a couple weeks. You know, they want to have a good time, man, and that's cool to see. So,
man,
overall,
everybody's all about Game of Thrones, and I'm over here to catch up with something Supernatural. So
Supernatural, yeah.
and Adam's just like shaking his head, like, yeah, I blew off our show last week to watch Supernatural. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I need a new show to watch because I was watching the People vs. OJ, the FX series. It was good. It was really, really good. I'm sure people have seen it to death about the OJ trial, but I was only 2 years old when that car chase was going on, so I didn't really get a full grasp of that trial and everything, and I thought it was really, really good. So hopefully you get some interesting stuff to watch on television. Because there's not really a lot to watch anymore, to be honest with you. Me and Adam talked about this last week. I'll say it, in 3 years, cable will no longer be a necessity. So ratings don't matter today anymore. They don't. It really doesn't. I know more people now in my family that has Hulu, Netflix, and they watch it on their own terms. So all this ratings debate and all this filler bullshit. Because if the company was down the tubes and the ratings were down the tubes, they wouldn't have the highest revenue they had in company history last year. It's just a bullshit argument to this point. But I want to give you guys quick thoughts on Raw, just with the finish. I don't want to go through the whole show with Raw, but there was a couple matches that were announced for Extreme Rules. We have obviously Charlotte and Natty in the submission match. We got AJ and Roman in the Extreme Rules match. We also have Vaudevillains against New Day that was announced. I'm looking forward to that as well. The main event with Styles, Anderson, and Gallows against Usos and Reigns. Once again, Roman Reigns, we want to see him as a badass. We've seen the badass and the show this past Monday night, putting AJ Styles near the table. Overall, guys, what do you guys thought about the Raw in the dump known as the Scott Trade Center this past Monday night?
Good.
I thought it was all right. I mean, you know what, the finish, it's... We have to realize, guys, that and stop being overly critical on the last segment of Raw, because we know that it's always going to be surround probably Roman Reigns or the Authority. For a while we knew it was going to have to do dealing with the Authority and this, that, and the other thing. So the 10 o'clock spot seems to always be the sweet spot anyway.
Yeah.
I think the 11 o'clock mark we always get either the house show ending, with tag, 6-man tag style matches or so. But I thought again this was good because it showed a different side of Roman Reigns. It added a little bit of that extra. Listen, Roman didn't do anything. For everyone that said, "Oh, Roman Reigns is starting to turn heel," no, he's not. Whenever he came to, he saw AJ Styles with a chair in his hand. So, guys? He's still playing that shade of gray, where he isn't the good guy. And I know people are tired of that, but that's also life. Again, the reality era. They want these characters modeled after what we see. Mm-hmm. So. I think it did a lot for, again, Roman Reigns. I think it did a lot for AJ Styles, and I think it did a lot for Gallows, Anderson. I actually really like the finish, and I typically don't like the finish of Raw. I mean, where it's like not for me to complain about. I'm just like, all right, cool, it's over. Again, guys, it's not where I sit there and lose sleep over it.
Yeah, what I also liked about that, I didn't see any heel tendencies for Roman, but I saw that out of the Usos, and I thought it lined it up pretty well where they actually attacked AJ from behind with. I think there was a chair, right? I think the Usos did hit the Styles with the chairs, and then AJ attacked the Usos, and it lined up. I'll give credit where credit's due with the production team. They showed where Roman's seen AJ attacking the Usos, and in that look in Roman's eye where he was about to fuck him up. I thought, like, oh, here we go. I thought that was pretty cool. Ronnie, what was your thoughts on the final segment of Raw? Did you get to see it or no?
Yeah, I watched it. I really like how. You have Gallows and Anderson, who are the heels, and then they're trying to convert AJ to be the heel and be like, hit him with a chair, get it done, and AJ is like, no. Then the Usos come and hit him, and I just love how, I forget who said this, I don't know if Adam said this on Twitter the other day, but Roman Reigns is seeing the bad in AJ when AJ's still trying to be good. Was that your tweet, Adam?
No, that definitely wasn't me.
Somebody tweeted that I saw on Twitter. I don't know why I thought it was yours. Because you're usually on top of that shit. You're like, I agree with Adam and everything he says.
Oh, no, he is no.
No, but I think eventually, well, if people don't think that Roman Reigns is actually in the midst, he's a tweener right now. If you don't see him in the midst of turning heel here pretty soon, because it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
And either that or AJ's finally going to succumb to the peer pressure and do what needs to be done to become WWE champion. Mm-hmm. Either way, something big is going to happen in Extreme Rules.
I want to bring up something funny because you brought up Extreme Rules. 5 years ago at Extreme Rules, LOL, John Cena got his WWE title back, and he announced that Osama bin Laden was killed, right? That was that Extreme Rules pay-per-view. What happens this year? Donald Trump decides to lead the campaign. He's like, F it, I'm not going to do this. What's it going to be this time?
It was a joke, guys. I really wasn't running in the first place.
Yeah, right. I think he already said that. He already said that he was basically just playing a character for the first half until he realized people were serious. Then now he's going to be more. It's all.
Yeah, Celebrity Apprentice is coming back, bro. Yeah. Oh God.
I might as well run for president in 4 years now. If Donald Trump can win, I sure can be next president of the United States. Man.
This is a tie-up of both on Raw and Payback. I think with the Stephanie and Shane partnership and where we're going with the main event and the mid-card titles, I think we're in for a good summer. It's going to be interesting because you're going to have Rollins, Cena, and Orton and Wyatt back for the fall. I think we might finally have a full year where we're not dealing with the stretches of, oh, God, we're going through the motions towards the Royal Rumble. Oh, can we wait to get to here? I really think this could be interesting because it is the new era, and you're seeing these journeys of these guys getting up the ladder now from NXT to where they are right now. So I think we're in for a good rest of the year. Will there be bad points? Sure. Nothing in wrestling is perfect, for God's sakes. But I think we're in for a good summer. How about you guys?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think once we get returning talent back too, and I think it's been interesting anyway. It's been fresh, and I know there's a lot of people don't like certain characters, this and that, but that's we're playing it again. We're playing into their hands. They're giving us the polar opposites of all the they're pleasing every style of wrestling fan right now. Which while you please every wrestling fan, you're also going to piss the opposite because everyone's polarizing. I mean, you can never just be kind of in the middle and kind of just enjoy things anymore. You either have to be all on one side or all on the other side. So I think they've done a good job of kind of playing the fans against each other, because playing the fans against each other is really good business for them too. Just like the NFL playing fans against one another and stuff. So I think we're in for more of the same of what we've seen, except a little bit more polished, which I think is good.
Yeah. I want to read a message from our good friend Ryan, Adam, our buddy Ryan from out there in the East Coast. He says he's enjoying the show so far, so thank you, Ryan, for checking it out. We appreciate it. He wanted to get our thoughts on what the main event of SummerSlam will be this year.
John Cena versus Roman Reigns.
In Brooklyn, right?
I mean, I have a ticket to SummerSlam. I'm going to New York, but that's going to be your main event, whether you want it or not, guys. So.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I think it depends on where Seth Rollins fits in, too.
Yeah. I said this, if they were going to do the Control of Raw thing again at SummerSlam, I thought you would have, like, either Triple H versus Rollins, or you have Rollins on the side of Shane with Kevin Owens on the side of Triple H. Something like that. Who knows what Brock Lesnar's going to do during that pay-per-view, too. Ryan said maybe you see Lesnar and Reigns again. Who knows?
Well, the one thing about SummerSlam that I don't think, WrestleMania, they always want to make sure the championship match is your last match. Yes. SummerSlam, it isn't the case. And, I don't know if we go back and look, whatever, but last year it didn't main event. It was an undercard main event with Rollins versus Cena.
John Stewart for the win.
Right. Think about that. That was the undercard main event. So even if I don't necessarily know if it is Cena and Reigns, which that screams money, and Vince loves money.
That's WrestleMania. I don't see it as a SummerSlam match. I really
don't. That's a WrestleMania match too. And I don't know, but because I think that if we're going to start, what about this whole Shield versus the Bullet Club? You would think, well, maybe that would happen at SummerSlam. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's going to really depend on who's back when, especially with Seth Rollins. I think Rollins is the big wild card here because, for me, maybe it's Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship.
Yeah. I want to ask another question from my buddy Chris. He asked, would Survivor Series be spiced up if the Survivor Series match was inside War Games?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yes. Please bring me back War Games. I need War Games in my life, yes.
Yes. The fact that whenever the Shield comes back, I would love to see the Shield versus the Wyatt family in War Games. I think that would be pure gold.
Mm.
Who knows? Maybe the Shield, the Wyatts, and the Bullet Club. Hey, it's 3 teams, right? 3 teams are supposed to be in this thing, so...
If that's the case, shut up and take my money. I'll go to the Survivor Series.
I just want to see Survivor Series mean something again, man. Yeah. I want it to feel like it's one of the Big Four and not have Money in the Bank feel like it's replaced, Survivor Series in the Big Four, which in a way it has. But make it feel like something again because it's just kind of been blah. I mean, I don't want to say that they've been bad, but they haven't felt like one of the larger pay-per-views that you're supposed to have.
I agree. Let's get into the RYBACK thing. The RYBACK. For some reason, RYBACK has finally got more mainstream attention than he's had in his 10-year WWE career so far these last couple of days. And, hey, controversy creates cash, right, ladies and gentlemen? Controversy creates attention and all that.
Not if you're complete garbage.
Yes. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want to go see RYBACK's post, you can go on his Tumblr. It's at RYBACK22. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I don't have the time to read the whole thing. I don't want to put you guys to sleep. But RYBACK, obviously, people talk about how he's had a contract dispute. He's angry at the company and the position he's in. He talked to some European press after WrestleMania about how he didn't like to be on the pre-show for the second straight year. Here's my thing. I'll start off first, and then I'll let you two guys go. I respect Ryback's passion for wrestling. Am I a big fan of his? No. I, there's so many wrestlers, especially even WWE, let's say like 5 or 6 years ago, who were just there to have fun on TV, get a name for themselves, and try to get to Hollywood. You didn't have a lot of guys there like, oh, I'm a fan my entire life. I want to be there. I want to make this fun or whatever. Ryback was one of those guys. Yeah, he didn't have the moveset or guys or whatever. I think there is a place of diversity. You don't always need tumblers or guys jumping off the air doing 630 planches on your wrestling show. But Ryback, you know what? I felt, and even during this whole situation, I feel there's no return of investment. Okay, Ryback's upset, but nobody cares if WWE's going to put them in the position that he wants to be in. You know what I mean? And nobody's going to care after he gets released. That's the thing. There's one thing for guys that we care about, and they leave, and you don't want to see them go. But there's a guy like Ryback who's had utter apathy after WrestleMania 29 for the last 3 years, and nobody cares. And it furthered that point after the CM Punk podcast about how Ryback breaks people, and we got into all that controversy. And I just feel like there's no return of investment in the guy. You weren't turning back the guy anyway. You weren't going to make him relatable to the crowd anymore. I just thought there was nothing there, to be honest with you. And if he didn't want to be there, then go. That's my thing. I'm not gonna say he's in the wrong in the situation. Sure, everybody deserves equal pay, but to say that, like, I'm not in the mood to like go off forever. If you guys want to, I mean, go ahead. But like, for me, I'm indifferent. Does he make good points in the post he made yesterday? Absolutely. But it's business. This is not a morale thing in life, wrestling, in the wrestling business. You're going to have people that are in the position that they are, and you're going to have people that are going to make less money. It's just what it is. I don't agree with it. I'm sure other people don't agree with it. Sure, everybody deserves or as valuable as any other performer on the roster, but it's business. That's what you sign up for. And in the wrestling business, that's what you sign up for. So if you didn't want to be there anymore, then go. That's my opinion. So who wants to go first?
Adam, can I please?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Now, the moment Ryback, or should I say Skip Sheffield, debuted on the inaugural NXT show that was once ECW as the Cornbread Meathead, I automatically knew, my God, this guy is a waste of time in every aspect of everything that is this business. And then after that ended, he became Ryback. And as Grim on Grim's Toy Show likes to say, Ryback significant. Ryback is not significant. If you're going to go on your little tangent on Twitter and blog about how you're upset over your win-loss, and he was basically bitching about his win-loss record and how if he loses a match, he doesn't get paid enough. First of all, learn your place in the business, Ryback. You're not a main eventer. You're a mid-card talent. That's all you're ever going to be because you're really not that good. And I'm sure no one's going to openly tell him that, and he'll probably never watch this, so my opinion is irrelevant. But he's bitching about nothing, and he acts like he's some big star. If you love the business, if you want to be there, be there. If you're going to whine about your payday, and if you think that you're a bigger star than you really are, then get the fuck out. Because you clearly don't love the business as much as you claim you do. So stop wasting everybody's time. WWE clearly told him, you're wasting our time, so just go home. And he went home. And there you go.
Mr. Daley.
I'm going to have a much different take on this, I think. Listen, guys, I'm keeping this as from my, at least from my opinion, as 100 as possible. Mm-hmm. And this is why it's funny, because like anytime we do wrestling with guys, we know we always say that it's a comedy show, that we keep it kayfabe. We're talking about the characters, not the actual person. Listen, anytime that we've ever joked about Ryback this, Ryback that, it was nothing ever against Ryan Reeves. Okay, I'd like to first point that out there. Now with this situation, I can't say that there's points. I agree with Ryback. Listen, guys, and I'm not saying I agree with everything Ryback said. What I am agreeing with is the fact that how could we? Okay. first of all, how could we sit here and call RYBACK a piece of garbage, this, that, the other thing, when he basically just did exactly what CM Punk did 2 years ago but got praised for it, exposing some of the flaws that are in the WWE's pay scale. This is something we've talked about on Wrestling With before. You know, I don't know what people make. I don't care. I recently read a report just out of curiosity that I saw that Bray Wyatt does not make anywhere near what you think the value of his character should be, if there's any truth to the article that I was reading. So, you know, from a standpoint, it's, again, we can't sit here and praise CM Punk for doing something, and then when RYBACK does it, in my opinion, a hell of a lot more professionally, you know, and again, I didn't agree 100% with what Punk said. I'm not agreeing 100% with what RYBACK said, but RYBACK brings up a hell of a lot of really good points. You know, when you go out there and you agree to lose all the time, yes, you are devaluing your own personal product. I understand that is your job. That's what you're being paid to do, but a great point on that is merchandise. Like, okay, sometimes you can still get it over with merch. Let's face facts here. Let's look at merchandise. Daniel Bryan's shirts were disgustingly, horrendously ugly until WrestleMania 28. After Raw, he said, if I campaign to get a yes, yes, yes t-shirt, will all of you buy it? Everybody pops. Next thing you know, everyone in the world has a yes, yes, yes shirt or a no, no, no shirt, and then Daniel Bryan's merch is instant gold. Okay? CM Punk for the longest time was given horrible merch. Listen, then all of a sudden, boom, he never had it. Every single shirt he had, whether you like CM Punk or not, was one bad-ass shirt. RYBACK has never had a shirt where, and again, guys, just because I didn't like the RYBACK character was never meant for me to like. RYBACK never had a shirt where I went, man, I just wish that wasn't a RYBACK shirt, you know? Every RYBACK shirt that I saw, and I think a big gripe, absolutely. Look at Bray Wyatt's shirts. There's no reason why Bray Wyatt shouldn't be selling more merchandise other than the merchandise that they have out there is for a very, very, very small niche kind of fan when more people like Bray. Like, I like the Wyatt family shirts, but it's not something you would buy for your kids. You know, so I think that we have to take a lot of this into consideration. And it's funny that we can praise certain talent for going and speaking their mind about WWE. But just because we don't like RYBACK now, we want to instantly jump on. And, you know, it's funny because I was having some fun on Twitter yesterday with the whole thing. And that's why I think that, you know, it's okay to agree to disagree with people and with whether it's, you know, this, that, or the other thing. But I think that, you know, a lot of negative arrows are being shot at RYBACK now for no reason. I mean, by the same people that praise what CM Punk did. And listen, the reason why RYBACK gained a hell of a lot of respect in my book is, one, he's been trying to get into WWE, guys, and was in WWE since back when Miz did, you know, and we forget about that. This is a man that dedicated his life to trying to become a WWE superstar. Coming out of NXT, I always tell the story that, you know, I watched a couple episodes of one of my buddies that lives up in Philly because we were up there, and I always make the Daniel Bryan story, like, just make sure you remember who this is. So, my friend used to watch wrestling, wasn't watching wrestling anymore. The three people I pointed out were Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett, and Skip Sheffield. And my exact words were, is because he's got the body that they're looking for, he has a hell of a clothesline, and as long as he knows how to put people over, he's going to have a job. And here we are X number of years later, and let's face it, RYBACK is a company guy. He's always done what the company's wanted. And listen, personal feelings of the character or whatever aside, I'm in a spot where I like seeing guys like, listen, him coming out and voicing his again, I think he did what Punk did, but in a much more professional and tasteful way. So if we're going to praise CM Punk for kind of going after the way these men and women are getting paid and the sacrifices they make, and yeah, you know what you're getting into when you're getting into the business, but sometimes the business changes. The business is different now than when Skip Sheffield got into the business. See what I mean? I mean, it's, you know, it's different, and I think that you know, just like Adam Rose right now, you know, how he's putting out what's going on. You know, it's WWE isn't a squeaky clean company that everybody wants it to be, and now here's where I'm going to probably get myself in trouble. But at the end of the day, I actually support RYBACK. I hope that he's able to make a ton of money on an independent scene, prove WWE wrong, because at the end of the day, you know, these characters can only do so much to try and get themselves over. And RYBACK is a guy that every other month he was almost like Big Show. He was almost like premature Big Show. That, you know, every other month they're turning him face heel, face heel, face heel. there's no ever any stability behind the character. RYBACK should have never been babyface. RYBACK never in a million years should have been babyface. He should have always been that character that cared less about the fans. And there was value to that. There was substance in RYBACK. I feel like if they would have been able to book him properly, but they were constantly trying to figure out what they wanted to do with him instead of embracing that initial hate that he was getting from fans. So I can see, and RYBACK isn't, listen, I cracked jokes on RYBACK before, but RYBACK's a very intelligent guy. So RYBACK sees the game, he knows the game, and if you are a creative guy and you can't even have a little bit of maybe creative control into a t-shirt, or anything like that where you can help put yourself over or put a little bit of extra money in your pocket, then you're just a body, you're just a number, and maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to, and so surprisingly, I know I'm so shocking a lot of people out there, I have no problem with what RYBACK said. Again, do I agree with everything he said? No. But I do agree with more than I disagree with. And I applaud RYBACK for standing on his feet like a man. I applaud him for a lot of people don't like that, but listen, it's sometimes if a workplace isn't, whether you know what you're getting into, blah, 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 entertainment's crazy, man, and there are, you hear more and more stories sometimes coming out about bad bookers or bad this, that, and, I understand it's a corporation, and it's a hell of a lot better than it was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but at the same time, you're still going to have, there's flaws in the system. And I applaud anybody that's willing to stand up and address it, because not only are they fixing it for the talent of today, they're fixing it for the talent of tomorrow. That's why I applauded CM Punk for walking out when he did, and that's why I'm applauding RYBACK for doing what he did.
I agree with what you said, Adam. Like I said in the beginning, there's points of this thing that I agree with, like you said. Corporations are all full of BS, no matter what company it is. I don't care. ESPN, WWE, ABC, it doesn't matter. Corporations just sucks ass. It really does. Corporate America just blows. It's things we have no control over. Now, I want to say this. Now, I'm not personally attacking RYBACK. Like I said, if he didn't want to be there, my stance was if he didn't want to be there, then don't be there. That's my thing. But I have to say this at the same time. I didn't go after Punk after he did the podcast. There's a lot of things I disagreed with what Punk said on the podcast, because if you really think about it, a lot of what he said on that podcast dictates a lot of wrestling fans' point of view of what we're seeing on television today. Am I lying? Because if I'm not, we wouldn't have this Roman Reigns conspiracy theory argument for the last 3 years.
Well, there is truth to that, though, because there are the chosen ones, and they're going to get.
No, there is chosen ones, but my point is, like, I'll agree that it was BS how the company handled the way he got let go. You can't fire people on their wedding day. There's no excuse for that. But I felt like a lot of the slanderous things he was saying towards the performers, I think that's BS. I'm sorry. I love Punk. Punk's my favorite wrestler, but to say that type of stuff about the performance like that, whether he's right or wrong, I just think that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's such it's so tough because you know what, and we live in, and again, it's because they're this corporate conglomerate now. A guy like Adam Rose, Ray Lepin, or and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, but he gets suspended for the wellness policy for a pharmaceutical drug that he was put on. He released that doctor's note. And this is something that I open up a total personal story about. This happens all the time, guys. Doctors are putting you on these medicines, and so now you have a guy, and there's other reports that Connor is suspended basically, and there was no illegal substances in him either. So how are these men and women getting suspended for drugs that they're being prescribed by their doctor? It's insanity to me. So I think there's flaws in there's a lot of flaws in the system that need exposed. So even I understand sometimes just gracefully dip out, but you know what? Sometimes they're playing when you're on the road 300 days a year, and they're constantly playing with they're literally playing with your life. I mean, Vince McMahon looks at everybody as his children, and he's going to punish them in this or whatever, and it's his own little world and globe, and he's like Mr. Burns, and he sits there like this with Kevin Dunn next to him, and they sit there and
Really bounds.
I listen, yeah, you know what you're getting into, but sometimes it just gets to a point where, as a man, you just can't take it anymore, man. Yeah. And I think that, and that's why, like, I applaud guys. Listen, I've always been a Punk fan, but now, listen, Ryback has earned my again tenfold. I get not agreeing or disagreeing, whatever, but Adam Rose, again, like, I'm glad that people are finally starting to stand out in the moment and not waiting years down the line, like when we have these lawsuits that are happening years down the line, 7, 8 years down the line, they're addressing this right off the cuff. And that's something that, for me, I applaud. Whether we can agree and disagree with, no, I'm not saying just us right here. I'm talking, like, just in general, we could all agree and disagree with the whole sides of Ryback and the whole Adam Rose thing, and, anybody that's watching this. But I just think it's refreshing that it's happening in the moment versus hearsay stuff years later down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you drag it on, it looks like you're desperate. You're trying to cling on to have people feel sorry for you in a way. That's the way I look at it. If you have an issue, approach it. Try to make the best out of the situation. If it doesn't work out, move on. That's the way I look at it. But you know what, Frank sent us a question earlier, and I thought it'd be in a bad taste to ask this question because the way he said, Frank wanted to know on a scale from 1 to 10 how much RYBACK sucks, and I didn't want to go into that. So if you want to answer, go ahead.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
Listen, the character sucked, yeah, but I mean, again, I've never been a body guy kind of like wrestling fan, as I wear a body guy T-shirt. Shout out to Roy Johnson over at UK. But no, but listen, I've never been a fan of the body guy style wrestler. So for me, no, I never liked them. I don't know. So I would always say Ryback sucks, but at the same time, there's a lot of guys that like that don't like the smaller Mike guys that are like the Weasley heels and stuff like that. So, know, it's just, again, I look at it as a comic book, and so Ryback wasn't meant for a fan like me. But that's okay because I had fun booing him. It wasn't, I don't know. And it's one of those, it's another one of those things where I am going to kind of like now who in a way, like, it's one of those where I do feel like it's a missed opportunity because there was the aesthetics that he was this huge, unlikable guy. Well, then why didn't they just book him that way? And then, you know what, you have maybe one of the biggest heels in the company, honestly. And so who knows? We really don't know, other than for some reason they didn't want to get behind him, or they just never. Again, it's almost like I feel like it's just Big Show. He just could never really. Did we ever know if Ryback was face or heel?
I don't know. It's crazy, man. It really is. I mean, I will give it credit, though. Like I said, I respect Ryan's passion for the business, that he wanted to be there in the beginning stages, that he loves wrestling, that he is a true wrestling fan. So I'll give him respect for there. And I going back to Payback, I found it funny he was doing the Punk entrance, like racing the floor, and then he had the pre-show stopper ding on his belt. I thought that was pretty funny as well. So
and then get sent home the next day. How ironic.
Yeah.
Or whatever, whatever the truth is.
Before we wrap up here, I hope you guys enjoyed the show so far. We had a lot of fun conversations today. Talking shop about the wrestling business here with Ronnie and Adam. I want to do something here. I want to do this with Adam, but since Ronnie's here, he can add a good perspective to this as well. Keep it 100. Your thoughts on the one and only Kevin Dunn.
You know what, man? It depends on what you want to believe that's out there, and I believe that, listen, money talks, and the man wants to line his pockets while he still has a job, and he knows that sooner or later his time isn't going to be there, so he's milking the wrestling industry. And he's not, from what I understand, he's not a man that necessarily enjoys professional wrestling. So I just feel like, guys, we're not really going to see a major change, and I don't know this for anything. This is just personal opinion, but we're not going to see true change until executive producers get out of there, because if I'm an executive producer of something, you absolutely better believe I know what's going on. And he is the last line of offense before you get the Vince McMahon. I know don't believe everything you read on the internet, but come on. I just have a feeling that if Kevin Dunn, for some reason, does not like you, your WWE career is put in a limbo state. And that's why he doesn't like what Triple H is doing with NXT and what they're doing down there. Yeah, I'm not saying his name isn't on that, but that's not. He doesn't have the last say so with NXT. Or at least we don't think that. So I don't know. I think he's the one guy that kind of gets off easy. We always want to blame Vince. We always want to blame everybody else that's in charge. And ultimately, it's always going to be Vince McMahon's decision. You guys know that with any type of programming decision. But, it's like one of those, everybody got two voices on there. You got your good voice, you got your bad voice or whatever. And it's just he's the little sidekick that's always whispering. He's like his little evil sidekick that's whispering, it's like mini-me, like one of those kind of deals. So just with larger teeth.
Mr. Starks?
See, the thing is, I try not to pay attention to details like that because I still want to live in a world where we're all going to get what we want eventually. Mm-hmm. But as long as Kevin Dunn is still around, we're not going to get what we want. So who knows how long it's going to last, but when it ends, we'll get what we want. So that's all.
By the way, I wanted to know who pulled it off better with Lucille, Dean Ambrose or Negan?
Oh, my friend. Sometimes you should know the right answer.
Yes.
There's only one man who treats this woman with so much respect, and she is a glorious, glorious lady, and that is Negan.
Yeah.
So,
hey,
it's like Barbie anyway, It's just a knockoff Negan.
It's interesting, like, they had, Ambrose had that barbed wire baseball bat, and Negan came out the same night, too. So,
it was planned, man. It was completely planned. WWE's like, well, they might have Negan and Lucille tonight on The Walking Dead, but we're going to have Dean Ambrose and Barbie at WrestleMania.
Oh, man. Hey, by the way, Lucille better than Rock's 30-minute promo at WrestleMania this year.
Yeah. When you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan involved in anything, you know it's going to be great. And he's going to knock that character out of the park. And Rock's promo at WrestleMania, that knocked me out. So I was pretty much done for a while after that one.
The Rock. Happy belated birthday, by the way. The man who always has a smile on his face, no matter what hour it is.
You guys download that Rock app?
Yeah, the Rock app.
The Rock alarm clock app.
Josh, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's ridiculous. I'm not downloading that.
It's free, man. It's free.
By the way, I have to say this from last night for TNA. Good God, all right. Enough with the Dixie Carter coming on my screen, bro. Please. You're already It's funny how you have a faction called Decay when your company's actually decaying in front of your own eyes, and the person behind that decay continues to come on and runs their mouth every single week. Shut the fuck up, please.
That company doesn't really exist anymore, man. It's when you put your show on a network that was once the TV Guide channel, no one gives a shit about your product. That plays. And then tonight on NXT, spoiler alert for those who don't read the dirt sheets, which, spoiler alert, I read the dirt sheets sometimes.
Go ahead.
But, Eric Young makes his NXT debut tonight against Samoa Joe.
World-class maniac. By the way, the one good thing I'll say about TNA besides EC3 and Mike Bennett, it was Eric Young, because his heel promos were pure gold, man. I loved his bad guy promos. He's the man.
Poor Mike Bennett, man. He went to the wrong freaking company. Like, he made a big mistake.
That's the thing. There's so much talent that I like there, man. And Mike Bennett's, I know I always kind of gush over Mike Bennett, but like Mike Bennett's a guy that I would love to see really succeed. I mean, not that he's not succeeding already, but like everything that he's done, he's really done on his own. I mean, he's done as an independent. But a lot of these guys, Drew Galloway reigniting his career and looking better than ever. Bobby Lashley. I mean, you look at the guys. You want these people to succeed. Like, you feel so bad for the talent there, but I just don't know what direction. And again, I wish I had Pop TV just to maybe give it a chance, but it's a channel that we don't get, I don't know. I just feel so there's talent there that I just feel so bad for. You want him like, please, Mike Bennett, jump the ship, please.
Oh man. So I guess I could say that TNA is like the let's see, the Cleveland Browns of wrestling.
Doesn't matter what you do in the draft, you're still gonna suck.
Yes.
At least you didn't say Oakland Raiders, so thank you for that.
No, I think the Raiders actually are the best team in the AFC West this year. So I think you're in a good year, my friend. I know you'll see it when you see it, but this team is good. They're gonna be good.
Put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby.
Yes, I love that movie, by the way. It's ironic. Last Sunday was the Talladega 500, actually. So there goes that. By the way, any movies recommendations for you guys? I'll say Barbershop 2 is really good. I got to see it yesterday. It was really, really funny. It has a good backstory to it as well. Talking about the gun violence here in Chicago and stuff. So check out Barbershop 2. It's pretty funny. No, Barbershop 3.
I was gonna be like,
Nice shot, Josh.
Well, I'm excited for Captain America: Civil War tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go to the mall here after we get done here and go pick up my ticket for tomorrow night.
Nice.
But it's gonna be great, man. We're gonna have Spider-Man and Black Panther, and I think it's gonna be a good storyline.
It's just about to go down. I know a lot of people are excited for that movie.
Yeah.
Before we go, I heard X-Men is coming out this summer, right? Or it's the next year?
The end of the month, 27th, I think.
Okay.
X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, which is going to be phenomenal.
I'm only watching it for Olivia Munn and Jennifer Lawrence, but that's...
Jennifer Lawrence.
Listen, okay, since we're spitting them out, and because I have to do it once a day, guys, don't forget, Batman the Killing Joke is coming out this year. One of the imperative Joker stories finally being done. It is going to have an R rating, and it needs an R rating, and I'm glad that they did not tone this down. If you've seen the trailer and you read the graphic novel, it does let you know that basically everything they are keeping it, and I do like that they're setting up to extend the time on it. They're having like adding a prequel with Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, before something tragically happens to her. If you haven't read it, so
they announced the release date today. It's August 2nd, is when the DVD Blu-ray comes out.
August
3
2nd
days before Suicide Squad. So in the same week, we're going to have The Killing Joke and Suicide Squad coming out in the same week, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a Joker fan, and we are having a potential Jerome quasi-Joker, proto-Joker return, they're teasing on Gotham. So, guys, it's a good year to be a Joker fan. Tossing it out there.
It's a good year for comic book movies in general, for both fronts as well. Deadpool, probably my favorite movie of the year so far. I love Deadpool. I thought Batman and Superman was very good too. I was just glad that the movie wasn't 100% on Superman like I was expecting. I was like, oh, they're gonna make Superman look like John Cena in this movie. And I'm glad they showed a little bit more Ben Affleck than that.
And his name was Clark Kent.
Exactly. Oh man. We're gonna wrap it up right there, ladies and germs. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I thank our correspondent, Mr. Daley, as always. Make sure to follow him at Twitter at AdamDaily13, at Wrestling with the beautiful Sam Daly, at LadyDexter13. Get all the plugs in there as you may. Also, follow Mr. Starks at Twitter at Starks Wrestling. Ronnie, brother, it was a blast having you on, man. I'm glad you reached out to me. I would like to extend an invite if you'd like to be part of the show going forward. You said you're off on Wednesdays. If you want to be part of it, you're more than welcome to come on, bud.
Yeah, I'd love to, definitely.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I had a blast. As always, as we do in these podcasts, I'll add the weekly Michael Cole interview on this podcast in audio version. You want to find where your character development's at, it's in those interviews. Check out the one he did with Natalia last week. It was really, really good as well. So I want to thank Mr. Starks. Thanks, Mr. Daly, the Steel City Saviors, kicking ass here on audio. I'm Josh Lopez. You can follow me at Twitter at WCJoshLopez. Check out my play-by-play articles. The only really form of journalism left in the dirt sheets these days. Out covering Ring of Honor Global Wars this Sunday night. You guys can send me a birthday wish or a hate tweet or whatever on Saturday if you want at WC Josh Lopez. Come as you wish, because if you're going to rip me, you will be blocked, and I don't care.
I don't block anyone. I think I'm the moron because I don't block anybody. I don't know why. I don't think I'm important enough to block people.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gents, this is called Shooting the Shit, but this is the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Check it out on iTunes, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.